welcome to Talking About. I'm JC Alvarez.
I'm Cara Kilduff.
And we are so happy to be joined today by pop culture icon and artist Olan Montgomery. There's a lot of pressure there.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. We're actually surrounded by a selection of your current pieces that you're working on in your series. And what's really, really great about you, Olan, is that you've actually been working in New York and sort of like in the art scene and watch it sort of evolve dramatically over the last several years. Like what would you say sort of is the movement that we're living in right now as far as like the art world scene?
Oh, the art world scene. I always just kind of live in the world, so I never really
Which is
thought
very
about
good.
it.
Good answer.
I think we're living in a time probably where we're changing. I think we're on the cusp of something. So.
And that's very reflective in your pieces, which are extremely timely. You seem to capture moments in history and in our culture as well. Are you oftentimes just in sort of inspired by what you're living or what we're all living? Is that sort of like where you draw your inspiration?
Oh yeah, I mean for sure, definitely. Every time I see people do something, it's kind of like you get up in the morning and you're going to be surprised because people do things. I mean, it can be someone talking to someone on a bus. It can be someone crying and you don't know why. New York is filled with lots of things. I mean, a lot of it is inspired because of being here and the things I see, and that branches out, but it's about people, so.
Right. New York is so inspirational. It's really, it's hard to compare it to any other city in the world because like so much happens here. And
Every single day. Funny and not funny,
funny and not funny, and certainly worthy enough to capture in art. Now, what's really, really beautiful about a lot of the pieces that you work on, and aside from the social commentaries, you have a lot of pieces that are also capture scenes. Like you have a series of Provincetown pieces that you recently showed that just sort of like capture the enjoyment of sort of that summertime and that summer feel. But you're changing. Your art definitely changes dramatically. You're a mixed media artist, or do you mostly just work in, these are acrylics and canvas?
These are acrylics on canvas, but I do mixed media. I mean, a lot of pieces that are very pop, like the pop book that I did, a lot of those pieces I took the photos and then painted on them. So, yeah.
So you like to try different things every time?
Yeah, I mean, art has many mediums.
you have to play.
Right, I
Otherwise
mean.
you get bored.
You gotta get your hands dirty. Yeah, you gotta get absolutely. Now tell us a little bit about, because the current series that you're working on is extremely social. It's very rooted in a lot of social commentary and what we're experiencing right now. Let's focus on this one right here that you have in the works. Tell us a little bit about this one.
This is inspired, these pieces are inspired from hate crime. And they really are, I mean, recently, as you know, some things happened in New York. We're still, what do you call that when you keep going back to try and get rights? I don't know.
We seem to be.
It's not a rebate. It's
well, the gay community certainly. We're experiencing something right now where we're having to prove ourselves that we're not second-class citizens, and we have to fight for equal rights, which in America is supposed to be granted to every single individual.
And the fight isn't going away. I think that's...
Yeah, it's the current civil rights movement, if you would. And certainly hate crimes are hate crimes, whether they affect the gay community or a minority community. And it's really sort of significant, and you don't get to really focus on it unless it's on the news or in artwork.
Well, you just hit the point. That's, I think, where the inspiration came from. With the whole gay rights and marriage, I was reading an article, and they were talking about a situation, there are so many situations, but where marriage isn't the same thing as hate crime. And I was like, what are you talking about? It is the same thing, because in my mind as an artist, a human being is a human being, and there's a value. So I started reading so many crimes I didn't know about. You hear a little bit, well, this person, this happened to, and that. You never really, when you start delving into it, you realize that these are situations where a lot of them, 62% of gay people, 62% of hate crimes in America are against gay people. Then it drops way down. you're talking about 7 and 2%. I mean, these are the statistics in Wikipedia. So I started reading all this, and I got a little pissed off.
And it's kind of sad when you really
Can't imagine
think.
why.
It's often really sad when a lot of these things are almost geared towards young people, because it's sort of like hate crimes. Young people tend to be the targets of hate crimes, especially when they're going through that awkward stage of finding themselves and all.
I think, again, it's devaluing the individual, because you can't look at a person as a person to do as violent as these crimes are. And when I was reading some of them, it just brought me to tears. So I decided to create a whole art series based on classic art that I've known from the past through the 14th century to even Andrew Wyeth. Like creating in those situations, in those kind of works of art, some idea of what happened to these people, so that they could be immortalized or in a way that was respectful and not just a
And
news
as an
story.
example, it's really hard not to look at this piece and view this individual who is a hate crime victim as a human being.
Right. Well, it's inspired by a hate crime victim. None of the paintings, since the art paintings are exactly, they're kind of more like composites of the person. This is inspired by Michael. He was a hate crime victim. I'm trying to think. Michael Gauscher. I cannot pronounce names, and I'm never going to be able to pronounce names. But it's inspired by his hate crime because he was stabbed 45 times. So the beauty of the piece is to honor the situation, and he was classified as a hate crime, and the story of his situation that inspired the piece was that he had met someone for a hookup, and he had met this person a month prior, but these people that he met he was with someone else, and they ambushed him, and then they stabbed him 45 times. So that just was upsetting to me, and I remember a beautiful painting that I had looked at called "The Murder of Christ," and this
is
person
reminiscent of
inspired me for this piece because I just think, that already I've already,
Yeah, absolutely.
I've already explained it.
Absolutely.
To look at it though, excuse me, the thing I like about it is that just to know that what you're doing with this is, and to look at this and know this was a representation of an actual person with an actual story. I feel more compassion looking at this and knowing that. And so I like what you're doing with this, because it's a good way to humanize people. This is someone with a story. This is a real person, an individual, not just some. What's that poster that you saw when you were growing up? God doesn't make junk.
Yes,
it's like
right.
everyone is valuable.
Right, absolutely.
Yes.
And this immortalizes and gives a lot of substance to those stories, which
Yeah.
is a really fantastic way of turning art into substance, especially pop art, because a lot of people tend to just think of pop art as being very commercial.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is definitely.
But I think visual arts, the arts in general, make things more accessible to people.
Sure.
A lot of people
Sure.
don't read the news or whatever, but stuff like this, artists don't. I'm on my soapbox now about
Hey, get up there.
funding for the arts in schools, but this is
Absolutely.
important because this is
Absolutely.
accessible to people. It's a visual, instant image, like bam, you see that and you process it.
Right, exactly. No one, it's an interesting, this piece, I titled it Michael, Son of Mary, because that was, I think I said beloved son of Mary. But because the person, he was religious, he did wonderful things in his community. And when I read about this particular inspiration for this piece, this person, people loved him. He did like Crime Watch and all these wonderful things. His aunt and uncle raised him. He was going to do a lot of great things in life. And it starts to make you question how many people are, go before their time that would have done a lot of great things. So yes, and that would be it for me on the soapbox, because I think paintings should definitely, it's just an important thing to continue.
Absolutely, and that one right there, this second piece that you have on to your right, also is extremely powerful and has a very significant story, and also is very reminiscent. I'm looking at it of another religious painting. It almost has that impactful feeling. Tell us about that piece.
Well, it's inspired from a piece that was about when she's in the lap of Augustus, and inspired from the Aeneid, and when Octavius faints, I believe. Well, it's inspired from classic art.
Right, absolutely.
The idea of it, but the situation obviously is not. And this piece was inspired by the story that just tore my heart out of a girl, and I'm going to say a girl, a transsexual named Gwen Arguro. I'm so bad again with pronouncing names.
That's all right.
And
That's right.
and you start to really feel these people's different situations. This situation was crazy because this girl was forcibly outed at a party by another girl who I created the idea of that girl in the painting by putting her hand up her skirt. And then the girl proceeded to scream at the party that she couldn't believe it, this was a guy. And then there were a few men at the party that had had intimate relations with her, and then some others that just took it upon themselves to begin the process of beating her. And that kind of, according to the records, went on for 5 hours. They were a famous case because the first case was dismissed, and then they did it again. And they were using the what they call the gay hate crime defense. But I mean, this was a beautiful person. I think she was a beautiful. That's why I really tried to give a very beautiful, angelic likeness of.
Yeah, there's a lot of color that's resonating off of the piece, just sort of like which gives it that life and but it really emboldens the dark intentions of the.
And she was going by Lita at the time, so I call it the deathbed of Lita to honor the particular person. But again, it's an inspirational piece and it's a tribute to them. It's not necessarily painted in such a way where everyone's exact, because that it's just the idea of what happened. This person was beaten by a soup can of tomato soup and a frying pan, and choked and tied up with rope, and just way too many. I mean, just
That is it's very powerful. It's very impactful. Now, this series that you're working on, are you going to have a New York showing by any chance?
Yes, at some point. Right now, I mean, I really just wanted to paint them. I have to be honest. I mean, it's going to take me. Probably, it's something I will definitely be committed to for the rest of my life, because my eyes are open now. I mean, again, this is about. We really have to protect ourselves at this point. I mean, we really have to realize that there is a sect of society that believes that we're not humans and we don't deserve basic human rights, and that it's okay to hurt us. And I think that upsets me as an artist, because I just believe in the value of everyone. So I'm going to keep on painting until I see it change. I mean, because we have situations every day. And actually, just so you know, this particular situation was declassified from a hate crime because two of the individuals had had intimate relationships with her. They declassified like some part of it where it wasn't considered a hate crime. And I don't understand how anyone could tell me as a gay individual that it's not a hate crime to beat someone for 5 hours and kill them because you find out that they have male genitalia.
Right. It's very frightening in that sense that what people don't understand is that human rights are being assaulted.
Yeah.
And we learn such great lessons from art. And sort of like art has always told the stories of history and social change and what's happening socially. And it is really kind of like a very powerful moment in our history right now. There's so much swirling that we have to really draw attention, and we depend on artists to capture those moments and to tell those stories and put light on for future generations.
There's stories you don't want to tell, but you know what was so wonderful is I'm really trying to honor what I'm reading and understanding. I mean, I'm nobody. I'm just I'm like a person trying to understand what's happening, and the only way, since I'm an artist, is to paint because it makes no sense.
And that by all means is your contribution. It's not that you're you can't call yourself a nobody when we're surrounded by these.
No, but you know what I'm saying. The humility is beyond when you start to really look at what some people have sacrificed for us in ways that we will never understand. I mean, because I don't know what it's like to run from people to keep from getting hurt, but it happens every day. It happened last month here in Queens, in fact. Or, a couple months ago, where, now see again, I'm going to mess up. Mr. Price was put into a coma by the hospital because he was beaten, because some guys thought that he had written his phone number on a deli, and they even have that one on videotape.
Right.
You know, so it goes on. And I you know what, I don't like to sound so macabre, because I do think the world is changing. Bringing light to it begins to help. I mean, for example, B. Arthur donated $300,000 to Ali Forney Center because she really believed in it. The Ali Forney Center is an incredible center that was dedicated to the death of Ali Forney. And Ali Forney was a homeless gay teen that was murdered. You know, and the stories will always continue on and on. That's another piece I want to paint, because, you know, we just, we all just, we really deserve more.
Absolutely. And not only do we deserve more, but there's going to be an audience out there that's going to want to know more about you. Do you have a website that they can
yeah, this is funny. Lipstickchick.com. Lipstick, C-H-I-C. It used to be chic, but now people don't. So it's lipstick, C-H. Stop laughing.
She's a comedian. She can't help it.
Sorry. I love it.
I loved that name like many years ago when I started my website.
Lipstickchic.com.
Yeah, because I just love, if you don't get it, I mean, for me, the colors of lipstick are pop.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anything more strange on a woman's mouth. And they walk around with it. And it's kind of like if you go to the zoo and you see the baboons with the colored butts.
Yes.
To me, I love that.
Yes.
That
Yes.
they actually put it on their lips and they go, wow, I look
Women's
gorgeous.
lips do remind me of a baboon's butt.
Watch it.
You know what I mean, though.
Absolutely, the color.
It's a color that's so
And we all,
bright.
at some point or another, when as you know, as children, we grabbed our mom's crayons and
Right.
Why don't you speak for yourself, JC? Your mother's crayons.
I ruined my mom's lipstick. I used to ruin my mom's lipsticks because
He's blushing.
because those were always like the right tones for my.
I'm picturing lipstick, high heels, big hat.
I never did any of that, but I did.
Picturing eyeshadow on him.
Wow.
But I would paint.
I should do a whole series.
I would paint with my mom's. I would paint my toys and stuff with all of her makeup because they were the perfect shades. Because
Maybe there's a painter somewhere inside of
there
you.
is. My father is a painter himself, so it's like, yeah, this is certainly something that.
But you know what? I bet they loved you and they were tolerant, right? So
it's like I am fortunate that I have a very supportive family, and I don't even think tolerance is the wrong word. I have a family that loves me.
yes.
I have family and friends that love me, and I like to think that I'm part of a community that overall loves me. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I don't like to segregate myself from the overall world community,
Right.
but I do understand that there is a sect out there that would like to see me, in dire straits or in bad
Yeah.
shape, and I think that's sort of like the people that we need to educate, and certainly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, taught in the home, I think. I mean, I pass high school students in the city, and there are words that aren't acceptable anymore in culture.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and we know those words, but faggot is quite acceptable. I think I don't even think we'll get bleeped here, but
Oh, no.
and you hear it like all the time if you pass any schoolyard.
Sure.
And it's like, wait a minute, at what point in your home did you get told that that's a great term to use to undermine someone or make them less than, I mean, that just has to stop.
Absolutely. I mean, we're all the same, and it's really we tend to live in this culture where we want to see ourselves above another group, and it is really kind of a shame because you can't stop to appreciate everyone around you if you're looking down at everyone.
That's from fear. That comes
It
from
is.
fear.
It's a very harsh reality, and even though your pieces certainly look at that reality and romanticize it and sort of like encapsulate the real love and beauty of the moment, let's reflect on the fact that these are pieces that capture.
Oh, I
some
hope
of
it
our
doesn't mean
darker
it goes
history.
back as a dark period, but
Well, no,
because you know what?
no.
I think what you're doing is because I think what you're doing is if any wound, you have to open it up before it can start to heal. You have to we have to take a look at these things, these
Yeah.
stories, these things that happen in order for any progression to happen,
Definitely.
any kind of healing.
And I think that the youth of today are very interested in everyone, having these kind of rights and these kind of things. So, I don't know where the other part, the politicity of it comes from, like denying people basic human rights, that kind of thing. But I can tell you right now, young people love my art. They really get it. It's a very big part of that. You know, I mean, I would hope, of course, yeah, wait a minute, I have to go reel that back a little bit. People that have approached me that are in our world that really get it. There are other instances where I do get a few emails that don't need to, like, you know.
Well, there's always going to be a critic out there. There's always going to be somebody out there that will want to put like sort of a Band-Aid or a topper, or will see, you know. But that's just, art has always been controversial. You know, the artists have always had sort of like their megaphone to tell their side of things, and there's always going to be a side, and that's a really great thing about being an American, that we live in a country where we can have someone say, you know, oh, I don't like that, or I don't agree with that, but when it turns into something that's hateful, I mean, it's okay to say, I don't like this piece, but I love and respect the fact that you can do this and you're doing this. Mm-hmm. But when it turns hateful, that's what we need to look at and what we need to change.
When things turn hateful, then the conversation is completely over.
Absolutely.
You know, then there's like...
Yeah. Because I'm sure, you know, Van Gogh and Da Vinci and, you know, all those cats had a bunch of people saying, hey, you know.
But not through emails, so...
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
You're more accessible when someone
that whole
disagrees.
Thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it's interesting that we do have a sect. I forget that reverend's name. I purposely, he looks just like the guy that walks up in Poltergeist and says something. He wants to get to the little girl, Carol Ann, and he goes, God is in his holy tip. That guy. There's a guy that leads this religious. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I think I do, yes.
Fred Phelps?
Yes. And there's a prime example that this person and all the people, his congregation, are all his relatives. Ooh. And you know, and they run around with signs, God hates fags, and even worse
angry.
stuff. You know?
It's really, really kind of frightening. I'm going to reach over here because you brought us something really special here, and also to sort of go out on a little pop culture note. This piece that you brought us, which is really kind of.
I like it.
I mean, it's like talk about pop culture at the moment and pop artists and sort of like how everything is just sort of blending. Here we have the infamous
Amanda Lepore and Caswell at the bottom.
Exactly. I was wondering if that was him. Yeah.
That was at a birthday for her. It's called Nipple Tease. And you know what I love about that is that's the wonderful thing about us. We will have a party. No matter what it is, we'll have a party. And we will, if we're being run out of town, we will lead the parade. Yeah. That there are just those wonderful aspects to our culture. And nightlife in New York is one of the saving graces of New York. And they really should start realizing that that's something they should protect, because these people are highly creative, highly artistic. I mean, I was even looking, Lady Gaga has something with a white wig right now.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it going, that's Kenny. Don't tell me that's Lady Gaga. And no one else would get that, but Kenny definitely did that picture and that look. And I was like, ooh, who styled and ripped him off?
She has admitted that she has been inspired by pop artists and pop culture icons of the past. So it's sort of
I love her singing.
And she's definitely paying reverence and being very ironic to those times and giving her own little niche. But even looking at all this and stuff, I just love the fact that you're bringing everything all back into like.
Yes.
You know.
And Amanda, I think, is, I think that, all right, as an artist on a serious and real note about that, she is very inspirational to me, because I think that transsexuals are our future. I don't think that's going to be abnormal. I don't think it's going to be anything more than people that deserve to be what they feel they are, if they were born with what they don't feel that they should have been.
Right. Gender identity is something that people still have a huge issue with.
Oh my God, and the judgment is crazy, but she is going to be, I think she'll be like considered a precursor, a mother, if you will, of the beginning of that.
Which is kind of, I was just thinking that, because if you know Amanda, and you sit and you talk to her, she is like one of the most normal people that you could ever meet, because she's just really... You
should have her. Have you had her on the show?
We haven't had her yet. We haven't had her, but we have had her music on and shown her her video. But yeah, it's certainly someone that we'll work on getting, because she really is such a pop culture icon. such as yourself as well.
She has created how she sees herself, and you can't help but respect that.
Yeah.
And I think that whatever anyone's opinion, that's an important thing, that people have a right to live their lives happy in the way that they want to.
And this is certainly one example
And
of that.
may I say one other thing with that?
Absolutely,
That's another thing. I had to read, and I'm a gay person, I have to read that we get associated with pedophilia and necrophilia by these Republicans with gay rights. Bull. You know, it just kills me that they like to go, oh, well, let's see, if they're here, we'll just take it all the way down here. Well, I could say with Republicans a lot of things, you know, that I not fit for the air. But, you know, and I very well shouldn't say that because there are gay Republicans. What I mean is, in this situation where the Republicans were speaking against gay marriage, you read the articles,
Yes,
right?
absolutely, yes.
So I just want to make sure I point
They
that out.
should stay out of bathroom stalls, those Republicans.
Right.
I have a wide stance.
Right.
Well, Olan Montgomery, thank you so much for coming on our show,
Thank you.
bringing your pieces,
you.
sharing your art. And we definitely are going to let our audience know if you want to see more of Olan, we'll have his website information on our website, www.talkingabout.info. So you can see more of these pieces and continue the good work. We're so grateful to you and so inspired by you.
Thank you for giving me this time. I mean,
Absolutely.
really.
Absolutely. I'm JC Alvarez.
I'm Cara Kilduff.
This has been Talking About.